Today, I want us to confront an uncomfortable truth. Our children are being colonized again, not by foreign ships on our shores, but by the curriculum we teach, the stories we celebrate, and the silence we maintain about our own heritage. Every day, in too many schools and homes, we unconsciously recolonize our children. We tell them that their names are too difficult, their food too smelly, and their hair too unkempt. We'll drill them on Shakespeare, but never on Soyinka, which teach them about snow and tulips before yams and iroko trees. We hand them Barbie dolls, but deny them black dolls that look like them. And then we wonder why our children grow up restless, searching for identity in foreign lands and foreign tongues. This is not education, it is erasure. The curriculum is not neutral. It shapes memory, pride, and imagination. When we only teach from a Western lens, we are telling our children quietly but powerfully that their culture, their people, and their history are not enough. That they must aspire to be anything but themselves. But I say this, it is time to rewrite the script, to raise a rooted generation that knows who they are before the world tells them who to be. Let us demand curricula that balance global knowledge with local wisdom. Let us fill classrooms with Nigerian literature, African heroes, our languages, our inventions. Let us affirm every child, you are enough, you are rich, you are worthy. This is not nostalgia. It is a nation building. A child who is rooted in identity cannot be easily uprooted by the winds of inferiority or the lures of colonization, old or new. The future of Africa begins in the classroom and how we choose to raise our children today.
One of the things I've realized about Nigeria and our culture and our values is that we don't understand what we have. We live in a digital age where, especially young people, we're being influenced by, what we see on social media. And we think that's what cool is. But one thing that sets us apart, I've said this story before, is the fact that we're grounded in culture. When you see an American, right, and you say, what's your best meal? Pizza, burger, and stuff like that. We are grounded in culture. That's what sets us apart, right? But we live in a society. We live in a society that do not acknowledge and is not really intentional about building structure around our culture. Right? We don't value the work that we do. You go to America, you go to Hollywood, there's the Walk of Fame. Mm-hmm. There's this particular one that's not on the floor, it's on the wall, and it's Muhammad Ali, because he said, I don't want anybody walking on my on the name, because his name is also the same with the prophet. So it's like, we don't want anybody walking, but that is there. There's always, the story can be told. Mm-hmm. When you see a star, you ask questions and you get to know about this person. We don't have a Hall of Fame. We don't have our history has been taken away from from school. So we don't even know the people that have built, over time. That
the history is diluted. What is even being taught in school. And it's only been brought back 2 weeks ago. That they've just brought back the new curriculum and said, okay, we have to teach it. So it's a bit watered down. Now, our children don't know the history. So they don't even know what it is to be a black person. If you ask an Indian or someone from Germany what it is to be German what is it to be Indian or Chinese, they will have something to tell you. But our children believe that westernization is civilization. They do not understand that civilization started in Africa. They don't know what it is to be proud of, because nobody has told them. Yeah. So that's why we find we have even parents, we have them bleaching. We feel the need to speak with an accent. Even schools are colonizing our children. We live in an environment where we don't have summer, but we say summer. We live in an environment where we don't need jackets or blazers, and our children are wearing blazers in schools. Our curriculum, we borrow curriculum, which is fine if you want to, but we must insist on history to be taught so that our children will know what it is that they should be proud of African. Parents are not speaking the languages to their children.
Our lawyers are still wearing wigs.
Yeah. And if you go to Saudi Arabia and countries like, they wear the jalabia and all those sort of things. Even to courts, you find things like that happening. But here, everything has to be Western before it's good. Or we want them to endorse it. Just like BBC Pidgin endorsed Pidgin. Before we used to look down on Pidgin, but when BBC Pidgin came out, then we thought it was something that was cool. So this inferiority complex that we have, it's a lot of us are born into it. And now we hear that even abroad now, you have British children that are born there saying that they are BRAPs, British raised African people feel they're better than the ones at Japa. They speak funny, they smell funny,
It's
they
also
look
in US,
funny.
they say they are foundational
and we're all Africans. They don't understand that we are all Africans and we must take pride. No matter what you do, you can never be a white person. So take pride in your blackness.
But also within the week, I chanced on what Precious Enaikon wrote on LinkedIn. She's been named Nigeria's top educator by Maltina. And she wrote, it's pretty much related to what your monologue is about. She said, we're teaching 19th century curriculums to 21st century students for a 22nd century world. History classes that stop at independence in 1960 while students live in 2025. And she went on and on and on. It is one article that even you should read. But you're talking about culture. You're talking about how some children over there would think that they're more advantaged than the Japa children. It's the way we, the parents, have constructed our identity. It's about identity finding context within our curriculum, our education curriculum. It's about us having pride in who we are. If we don't hand those over to our children, we don't socialize them into it, they're never going. See, we're consciously, intentionally building a generation that will be completely cut off from their roots.
Absolutely. In the homes, they're not speaking the languages anymore.
I think from what you just said, we also have to make it clear that the people we are talking to, especially on this conversation, are the middle class and elites.
Yes.
Because they are the ones watering these things down and wanting everything to be westernized so that they look like they are cool.
They think it's posh.
It's an amazing conversation we're having, and I think that you have nailed it. Everyone has said it. I don't think I'm an expert in this conversation, which is why I stay away from it sometimes. But for me to understand things, I try to make it personal. Now, in my friendship space, my network, I've seen my friends, but they'll probably watch this. They're naming their kids, and I'm hearing names that I don't understand. And you know what happens? I never have the name of your child in my head, even if you like, tell me 1 million times. It's not my problem. Tomorrow I'll ask you, what did you say your child's name is? And I'll move on. A colleague in the office, they just had a new baby, and the baby's name is Kamdeli Chukwu. He's been in my head. I cannot forget it. And please, is it not sweet to hear? Right?
They will say it's hard to pronounce, but they can
How is Kamdeli Chukwu hard to pronounce?
Arnold Schwarzenegger. They can say all those ones.
I visited a very close friend in the UK, and the son's name is Adebare, right? If you see the way he calls his name, my name is Debare, and he's very proud of it. They're teaching him what it means and what the meaning is. We're walking in the mall, and a white lady stopped him and asked, what's your name? He mentioned. And then when the lady was asking him what it meant, the mother stepped in and explained, and of course he was like, yes, that's the meaning, right? So you having an English name or a foreign name doesn't make you better than the next person, right? So
they would say it makes them help
because
them
I don't
fit
have
in.
a child, I cannot have this conversation.
You can have this conversation. You're African.
In the context I'm saying it, right? Because it will look like born your own and name the child. But at the same time, we need to really ask ourselves: are you naming this? Are these names coming from a place of proper grounding, right? Or you're just trying to sound so cool because you think that it will make you look good?
All right. So there's an identity war going on.
Yes, indeed.
And other cultures aside from African culture have been very successful in shaping the world through their own lens.
Indians.
And
Asians.
if I was in their own shoes, I'll be giving myself a thumbs up.
Yeah.
Because they've shaped cultures doing it. And that's why we see all this push by our people to look more Western, to speak more Western, to do things more Western. And we have to be very, very cautious of this. I mean, I thank you for the advocacy. I think it addresses, this part that in this identity war, we that are on the front lines as well, we must go with it with all the arsenal that we have. I remember when I went for my daughter's A-levels graduation. So I dressed as an African, and the conversation was, but Dad, how are you going to dress? Are you going to wear a suit or not? I said, no, I'm wearing my agbada, my whatever. It wasn't really agbada, but the whole African. And I went, and I became the focus of everyone. Other parents came and started taking pictures with me. And what's always like, I love your dress and everything. Yeah. And I use that opportunity to speak to my kids to say, look, okay, so you're opportuned and privileged to study, abroad. In that place. But understand that what makes you different, what makes you unique, is not you trying to be a European, it's you being African. That's what makes you unique. That's what makes you stand out, because you can never be more European than the European. You can never be more American than the American. You can never be more white than the white man. Okay, whatever Kemi Badnoch is doing, whatever, everything about her she wears on her skin. She can never be like them, all right? So we need to be very careful. Abraham Lincoln said, the philosophy of the classroom in one generation will be the philosophy of government in another generation. So if we are not very careful and very intentional in making sure that our children are brought up with African culture, African themes, even the whole idea of making your hair, why must you permit? Leave it the way it is.
So I'm not being dramatic when I say that the future of Africa begins in the classroom. I'm just saying it like it is.